Welcome to Bigfoot Society. If you have Bigfoot activity to report from the same areas discussed in this episode, please reach out to me directly after this episode. And if you'd like to be on the podcast to discuss a personal Bigfoot encounter, please reach out to me directly at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Do you wish there was more Bigfoot Society to listen to every week? Well, there is now. If you become a supporting member over at Patreon, you get a special members-only episode every single week on Wednesdays, and sometimes even more episodes. Head on over to patreon.com/The Bigfoot Society. And now let's get on with the show. All right, Bigfoot Society, I've got the privilege of talking to Darren today. Darren is a listener who reached out to me from Central Texas via email about some really interesting things that he has experienced over the years. But Darren, I'm glad that you were able to come on the show, and I'm going to go ahead and give it right over to you, my friend.
Okay, I appreciate it. Appreciate being on the show. Again, I don't know really where to start. I guess, the first experience I really, can confirm. I went down to visit my brother-in-law down in East Texas. He was a paramedic at this small fire department and everything, and he had some off time. So went down there, going to visit with him a while. I hadn't seen him, and we was going to do a little hunting at that. We always loved going coyote hunting, doing, calling up coyotes with a electronic recorder, using a wounded rabbit noise or a coyote locator that imitates a pack of coyotes howling to get a response out of other ones. Well, I probably got down there that evening, probably around, I don't know, maybe 7 o'clock. It was during the winter time. I think it was already January, and it was pretty cold. We had a little ice on the ground. Well, we sat around there at the house debating where we wanted to go call. He talked about he had a new place that's never been hunted on. He's drove down there and looked at it during the day, walked around. He said it was pretty nice, had a real nice open clearing. It was kind of down in the low spot. There was hills around, a lot of trees. And on one part, had a lot of swampy area. But he was talking about how nice it was. The grass wasn't very tall there. The trees had wiped everything out, so everything was laying down. We could see good. We got our stuff together. We usually call out the back of the pickup, something like that we're not familiar with. We'll go down and park kind of in the middle of a clearing. That way you got a good 360-degree view around you. Just kind of evenly spaced out to the tree line. And we were driving down there and we noticed, we was talking. I mentioned the moon. The moon was pretty bright that night. Actually real bright. That was kind of concerning to me. I mentioned it to him. I really don't like going calling. When it's full moon, you really don't have no luck, much as far as getting a predator like coyotes or bobcats to come into you, because they can spot you and see you real easy. And we use spotlights that way, gives us a little bit of advantage. The light with the red lens, it kind of hides our profile, blinding the animal a little bit. That way he can't really see maybe what's going on. But anyway, we get down there, we park in the middle. We slowly got out of the truck. He got in the back. I handed him his gun. And then, I handed him mine. I put the electronic collar up on top of the cab of the truck. I went around back, climbed on in the back of the pickup. We were just sitting there whispering kind of to each other, about how bright that moon was and how far you could actually see once we got down there and our eyes got adjusted. I mean, you probably see a good 50 yards easily and make out everything, make out details, for anything around. And bigger stuff, you probably see out further, pretty easily. Anyway, decided to start out with, we got our stuff situation on top of the cab there. Got our guns in a safe spot, had our lights up there. We shined the light a minute just to get a better idea of everything that's around, because I hadn't really seen the place during the daytime. And to make sure there's nothing out there, and make sure there wasn't any kind of farm equipment or cows or anything like that. We always real safe what we're doing. And we knew there wasn't no houses around for miles. And that was one good thing about it. It never been hunted on, supposedly. And anyway, I get this electronic collar set up. I decided I was going to play a coyote pack howling. They do this little running howl and, this little vocals that sounds just like a coyote pack in the distance. And anyway, I hit that play button there, and it goes through the sequence. It probably runs maybe 8 to 12 seconds long, or is the vocalization, and then it goes into a pause mode to give you time to hear any response from another pack of coyotes way off in the distance howling back at you, or a lone coyote, or anything like that. So I played it. It was over. It was in that pause sequence. And I just kind of remember kind of looking at brother-in-law, whispering. I was like, I just kind of got a weird feeling. And she's like, what? What kind of weird feeling? And I just, I don't know. I just got a weird feeling. And I said, that's probably nothing. So probably about, 30 or 40 seconds go by. And then the recorder starts playing the noise again, the vocalizations. And it just, as soon as it went into pause mode on that second one, I'm gonna say probably about 300 yards away on top of the hill. And a howl started out. I mean, it sounded like a wolf howl, like a lone wolf. I mean, it was loud, it was deep, and it just kind of kept getting, like more strength behind it. And, it howled like a lone wolf probably about 4 or 5 seconds. Then the howl started turning into almost like a roaring noise. Like if you ever heard of African lion, how they roar on TV or whatever. Went into that, and without, skipping a beat. No, there was no pause in between these different vocalization noises. It went from that roaring to like a snarling, growling, like humping noise. It's all into one. And we just kind of looked at each other like, what was that? And it sounded like a wolf, but what the hell was all that other, And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I ain't never heard nothing like that. And he was like, you feel how strong that was? He's like, yeah, it vibrated my chest. I was like, yeah, mine too. And it was pretty good ways off, 300 yards or so by our guesstimate. And we sat there listening, didn't hear anything else. We hadn't turned on any spotlights on at the time because we could, like I say, see pretty good. And the recorder, it was still playing. It come out of that pause session and went directly back into the coyote vocalizations. And 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 as soon as it got through playing that, uh, now from what would be, it moved. Either moved or there was two. I don't know, and that's kind of confused us a while, but it moved from our left over to our right about 100 yards away, and it just inside the tree line. Uh, but it howled. It started off just like that, just like before, like a deep lone wolf howl into like a lion roar, and that growling, snarling stuff at the end of it. I mean, it's really hard to describe that noise. It just sounded unreal, and it's like, and my brother-in-law, he said a few choice words. We wasn't really talking loud; we was whispering, but I looked at him. I was like, I mean, my comment was, it sounds like we're off in a werewolf movie. I mean, that's what it sounds like. And he's like, yeah. He said, I was thinking that too. Werewolf movie. It, we were sitting there trying to make sense of that, and it scared us. I ain't gonna lie. Brother-in-law started backing up a little bit. He had the gun ready, and I went ahead. I grabbed the spotlight and I started shining it, looking around the direction and all around us, really. So I thought, well, if it's doing this, it was over here, then this time maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, it's over here in a total different spot. That's probably would have had to travel probably 500 or 600 yards to get going around us to be in that position. And so, I was looking all around, behind us, side of us, everything, and didn't see nothing. Didn't see no eye shine. We kind of sat there a little bit, debating on what we were going to do. And well, like I say, it was frightening. I mean, it struck a nerve. I already kind of had a bad feeling, and I was like, we both agreed. We took her. I jumped out of the pickup. He handed my gun. I opened the cab up, and she handed me his gun. He jumped out, and I stuck both the guns in the cab. We got in the truck and cranked it up. Kind of sat there a second, still debating. What is that? I mean, we were scared, but we still like, trying to figure it out. Well, he's like, I don't know. We can talk about it as we go. So we went ahead and we didn't see no eye shiner. We didn't see nothing. We went ahead and we got up out of there. And he didn't really live that far from the area. It was pretty close to in East Texas, kind of at the top lakes down in that area. I ain't gonna say the landowner's name. We barely had permission, and we wasn't gonna tell anybody else, about it. Just out of respect for the landowners. And when we was gonna go into his house, I said, well, we might ought to keep driving a little ways when we're on the highway. I just kept thinking, as big as that sounded and the strength behind it, what is the same, whatever it was, followed us out of there. And, we had to go out some gravel roads and stuff before, ever got out of there good and got on the highway. After we got on the highway, it wasn't that far to his house. So we just kept on driving for a little while. rode the back road discussing, trying to figure out what that was. And it just, no matter what you wanted to try to, I was like, maybe it's Bigfoot. Maybe that was a Bigfoot howling. Because at the time, I didn't know anything about, Dogman or supposedly, these different programs and stuff and different things I've been looking up. We didn't know, hadn't heard anything about all that. Just all we ever heard was, about Bigfoot, when the show Finding Bigfoot first come on the air and everything else, we'd watch that, entertain it, always kept an open mind, and yeah, we were, during this whole time we was discussing it to each other, we both, was like, man, if that was a Bigfoot, I mean, that was a weird, freaky sound and everything else, but kept on going back in my head. It's like, man, it didn't sound like, any kind of vocalizations or anything that people's got recorded or reported hearing or anything like that. It sounded like a werewolf. I mean, canine. But yeah, every time we get together, we talk about that, discuss it. Still trying to make sense of it today. And yeah, that's pretty much what went on that night, and that changed the way I see the dark. It changed the way I look at things more than I realized at the time. I used to be big on, going hunting at night, coyote hunting like that. I still today might have only went coyote hunting at night one time since then. I don't let myself get off in the woods after dark. If I'm in the woods, I got a gun on me and carry a flashlight also, just in case, got caught up after dark or whatever. But deer hunting, it took me a while to do that. And I will not get up and go to a deer stand before daylight anymore. I stopped bow hunting for like that on the government land that's around here. There's Corps of Engineers land around here in our area, and you ain't supposed to carry no firearms in there unless it's certain permit for a certain area during shotgun season or something like that. So I will not go bow hunting on anymore because I can't carry another gun with me. If you come up on a game warden or anybody else, I'd be in trouble having a gun. But during that time, it's pretty much changed the way I even do things around the house at night after dark. I mean, if I'm doing something outside, I keep my pistol on me. Especially this, a lot of times during the summer and everything, I mow the yard at night because the heat is real bad here in Texas. And, do it at night because it's a lot cooler. And even though I want a loud lawnmower, I keep my pistol on me. I live out in the country, and there ain't many houses around me. And there's some wooded acres down below me, creek line, but most of it's farmland, open land. But yeah, it really affected me on the way I do things and just the way I think. Whatever that was, I don't want to see it. That's for sure.
Darren, I can tell that hearing that really affected you quite a bit, and I'm not even sure how I would take that myself. Do you mind if I ask you some questions about what you've shared so far?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned really quick that both of you said that it vibrated your chest. Is that the main way that you were affected by hearing that vocal, or did it affect you in any other ways, physically or mentally, during that time that you remember?
Not really. I can't remember any other uh, different feelings or anything. I've heard people talk about get strange feelings or might get sick or feel something, but it wasn't nothing like that. Both of us, just the howl and everything, it was just so loud and powerful. Excuse me, they're powerful. And it just, as it went on and the deeper it got with the like roaring, growling, snoring, you could feel it. Just, it was almost like having a speaker up next to you or something, or you hear these cars driving by you in town and stuff. They got the bass going in their car, and you just, you might not hear the bass that good, but you can feel it.
Right.
And that's kind of how you could feel it along with the noise. And to be that far away, still do that. I mean, whatever could do that has got to be huge. It wasn't no small puppy out there just howling at the moon or anything like that. Whatever it had to be huge to make that kind of noise. And, that's the only time I've heard that type of noise or howl. I've helped with a guiding outfit in New Mexico, up in that area, Colorado. Take people, out in the mountains and stuff. And I'm there in the deserts in New Mexico, around the mesas, and travel, camped overnight, different areas. And, I've done a lot of things over, I guess my lifetime. I'm about to be 53 here in about, 23rd of this month. And, this is just something that I have no explanation for.
Absolutely. You mentioned that there was a kind of like a humph noise at the end of the vocalization that you heard. Can you describe that particular part of the howl or the roar in any other ways?
Well, I mean, I could try to imitate it. I might sound a little stupid here, but I don't know. The howl, when it first started off, that lone wolf howl, like, and it kept going, and then it turned into like a howl, like, and like that. That's the best way I can describe it. Like it starting growling and just on the end of it.
Gotcha. Okay, very interesting.
And yeah, just doing that, hairs standing up on my arm, back of my neck, goosebumps. I mean, it was, it's a sound you ain't supposed to hear.
It's really interesting because it's like you're not sure if it's a Bigfoot or a Dogman. Like I'm honestly not sure.
Like me and him discussed, it sounded canine. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I talked to him. First time I actually kind of reached out to somebody trying to figure out different things. I reached out to, I guess it's all right to say, Miguel.
Yep.
On Sasquatch theory. Reached out to him, and we was talking, on the phone. Even did a little, he had me on his show telling about it. But when we was talking, he was talking about he had the same kind of experience, the vocalization, for that sound, that howling, and he could, contribute to that with his Dogman experience. And at that time, this was last year probably. Probably been a year and a couple months, somewhere in there, that uh, when I talked to him, uh, you that's the first time I ever heard about Dogman, and that got me, thinking. Everything else was like, then that's when I really started actually looking up stuff for his Dogman, or maybe any kind of vocalizations anybody had recorded, or the way they talk about the way it sounded. And I've heard, several different interviews on different shows that they talk about howling, roaring noise like a lion. And they never mention any kind of like the growl and the snarl noise and all that. But everything else sounds the same, and they contribute, that one of their Dogman sightings or like that. And so that just, I don't know, it left me with a lot more questions. When Miguel first brought that up, I think I said, I hate to think something like that's out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of ever running into that myself either.
Bigfoot, I don't know, we've heard about that for years. That's kind of a thing where, kind of burnt your mind a little bit from, all the different shows about it over the years. I'm trying to accept, okay, might be a Bigfoot out there, no big deal. I ain't heard of them actually hurt nobody, but, still don't want to see one. But then you hear something like that, and they refer to it as a Dogman, and you start going down that rabbit hole, looking up things and listening to different stuff. And it's like, especially what they look like or supposed to look like, and it's like, Dogman, that's a werewolf to me. They're looking at something like that. I mean, that's Hollywood stuff, and it ain't supposed to be nothing like that.
So this area of Hilltop Lakes where you had this happen, did you ever look to see if there are any other similar events online in that area related to Dogman or Bigfoot?
I looked there for a little while. I've heard maybe some different Bigfoot sightings, maybe around that area. I think, that's just a general area. I don't want to give out these people's names, the land we was on. And I've heard BFRO going in different places down there. Also, I know I forget how far away from this area it is, but there's an old military base down there that's been closed down for years. I forget what they do, but I don't know. There's supposed to be underground facilities there. There's a lot of old concrete buildings left, different kind of silos, different stuff. And it was a pretty big place. And I don't know. I've heard some people talk about the military, used to experiment on things there. Of course, you hear that about any kind of military base or, area operation where, there's always underground tunnels and experimenting on things. So I forget how far away that is and where it's at. And there's been a lot of sightings contribute restricted to around that area. Nobody's supposed to go there or trespass. It was mostly all grown up, but I can't remember the name of that place to save my life right now.
And did you say Bigfoot sightings or Dogman sightings in that area?
Heard about Bigfoot sightings. I really hadn't heard no Dogman sightings. I I reached out to some of them that was, trying to, ones that had like BFRO, Matt Moneymaker, and some of them been down there. And it's like been a lot of stuff from East Texas, and I kind of followed them a little while. And I kind of reached out to them, wondering what I might have heard and what it could have been, any reports or possibilities, and nobody ever got back with me.
Sure. So. You mentioned that when you do stuff around your house that you have a weapon on you just for peace of mind. Is that because of what happened that night, or are there things happening around your house and property as well?
Yeah, like there's not really anything happening around the property, I guess. Sometimes I get a weird feeling, kind of like that night, be out doing something, or maybe working on the pickup, or doing something in the garage or something, and I just get a weird feeling, and I just kind of shine the light around or look around me, and and I just started carrying my, I started carrying my firearm, and I really ain't never been a big carrier or as a handgun or anything like that. I have them in my safe, but that spring, I guess, that coming spring after that happened, it kind of pushed me over the edge to, I went ahead and got my license to carry, and went through the course and got my certification and license here in Texas for carry a firearm. And that experience kind of pushed me in that direction. It's like, out at night on these, we like riding the back roads and everything around here, maybe on the 4-wheeler or in the truck, or, just get out and look at the wildlife, me and my fiance. And it's like, I won't even do that now without, even though I'm in a pickup, just riding around, yeah, I carry it. Well, I got it on me. I I think about different scenarios, and it's just a lot of things I used to do that, I don't really take for granted now. After hearing that, there's something out there. Well, me, I know there's something out there that I have no fathom of what it is. If it's demonic, some kind of, people talk about these genetic mutations or experiments or whatever, the fallen, the watchers have done, the Nephilims and all that stuff. We are kind of living in crazy times, and they do talk about, towards sometimes, the evil will get worse or whatever, but I don't know if this is something that some kind of way things are, man manifested, or if it's some kind of demonic. I don't know. I just know I could hear it. I could feel it go through my chest. I didn't see nothing, but
after you had that experience that night, did it affect your dreams at all?
That's kind of a weird thing there. because I used to have dreams. I mean, I've had dreams all my life. As a kid, I'd have dreams, I was a young kid. I mean, I don't know. I know I had to be around 3, 4, 5 years old, somewhere in that area. But I still vividly remember dreams and didn't know what no werewolf was or anything like that, that young a kid. Mom and dad didn't watch any kind of movies like that or anything. And I used to have dreams growing up all the time, like a werewolf looking at my window, bedroom window there as a kid, or be outside playing and then look up and there would be one. It would wake me up in the middle of the night and, I'd lay there in bed scared to death, shoulders over my head, sitting there thinking, is there something out there like that or something, But yeah, I've had dreams prior and, to that and after, about stuff like that.
Did you grow up in the same area or in Texas?
Yeah, actually, where I grew up, it's probably, the house I was raised in is probably 4 miles from here. The house I live in now, it belonged to my mother's side of the family. Got inherited down through there through my mother. And my dad's side, the house we was raised as a kid, let's say maybe 3 or 4 miles from us. And in there, during that time, growing up, especially in the 70s, in that era out there, the nearest neighbor might have been 3 or 4 miles away, 3 miles, something like that, pretty much. Kind of in the middle of nowhere, out there on a farm. My dad was a farmer, and I kind of grew up secluded from anybody, any place, any houses around, away from town. But yeah, as a kid, I remember being scared of the dark, whatever, worried about what's going to be out there because of the dreams I had growing up. But I don't know, my brother might have played a part in that, always trying to scare me with something.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. You mentioned that you continued to have those after what you heard at Hilltop. Were they similar or were they different types of dreams after that?
They've always been pretty much the same. I don't know, as far as being something outside and look up and there be something, as far as that or like be out playing or working on it, I mean, just, I don't know, however dreams go is just always be outside and be around either the house or, and wake up trying to make sense of it. Why am I dreaming about damn werewolves or anything like that,
Darren, it's very interesting. It feels like, and I hope this isn't the case, but I hope this isn't the case, but it feels like there could be more to this story at a later time. But I mean, it'd be nice if you didn't have to deal with anything else, but it's a very, very interesting story. Have you ever returned to the same area?
No, I have not. It wasn't long after that. Still call him my brother-in-law, even though I'm not married to his sister no more. But we was just that tight, still are. He took another job somewhere else, and so never did go back down there to that area or anything like that. And I grew up doing a lot of things, and I was in the last 25, 30 years, I pretty much drove a truck local here in Texas, and in the oil field when all that was booming real big here in Texas, and them fracking jobs and hauling water off these gas wells and stuff where they refined it. They used to send me off in some pretty weird places. I'd go to places out in East Texas back long before this happened. You'd be off in some scary looking country, and it just give you the creeps, a bad feeling. But I never really seen nothing driving on the back roads or anything like that. I do remember times that when I was up in New Mexico, and the area, it was northern New Mexico, up above Clayton, that way towards Colorado border, that a friend's dad had a hunting outfit, took hunters on guides and stuff, like guided hunts and stuff. And we'd go scout areas. I'd go up there, help them, scout out different areas, walk, for miles and canyons and different stuff. And there was one night, me and my buddy, we was leaving the main little, I guess, where the clients stayed, little house there for them. We decided we was gonna go up on top of one of the mesas, not too far from there, to check on the old cabin and stuff. Stay the night up there, or maybe a couple of nights. And we decided we was gonna walk. Them roads can be going up the mesas. There's been four-wheelers that slide off the side, or pickups. If you can't see that good, you don't need to be driving up there. And as steep some of them laces are down in the ravines. But we decided we was gonna walk up there one night, and we knew they turn loose problem bears in that area around parks and stuff. They would turn them loose in this area, because there wasn't no one around for miles. I mean, except for occasionally maybe a ranch house or something that somebody still had lived in, but most of the land belonged to one person, and there wasn't, like, say, the ranches can go on for miles. And so they would turn some of the problem park bears out, there, instead of putting them down to give them a chance. We was walking up that cabin one night. We got about halfway up so New Mexico, they call them flat top mountains or whatever, mesas. And they can be pretty tall and steep. And we was walking up the road going to the cabin, and we kept hearing something, walking with us, walking up that road on the right side of us. It was a steep drop off, probably, I don't know, maybe 100 foot, 200 foot, just steep drop off to this ledge, and then it continued on down. And to the left of us there, the trees and everything. And it would stay in the trees, and it would never heard any kind of noise, any kind of growling, puffing noise, or anything like that. But you could hear it walking with us, and we stopped, and it would stop. And, we were both aware of it, and, talk about it as going up, and we like, you hear that? It's over there making this noise or that noise. Be like, yep, I hear it. We had our guns with us, we wasn't gonna walk around where there's problem bears without any guns. I carried at that time a big old 44 Magnum in a shoulder holster. And so I wasn't too worried about it, but whatever it was, it followed us all the way up to that cabin that night. And we got in there. It just, as closer we got to the cabin, it felt like more urgent. We need to get in the cabin. It started turning, no big deal. It was kind of scary at following us all the way up there. And it was probably 2 miles up, to get to it from where we was and started hearing it. But we got in the cabin, locked everything, got in there and locked everything back up, got a fire, a little light going in there. But it's like all night you could hear something around the cabin though. And we really, we considered it, thinking, a bear. But there was one time you could hear the doorknob, whatever, on the outside of this one door. You could hear it jiggling. And we just kind of, I don't know, I kind of just, maybe it was pushing its nose around on it or whatever. And, if it's a bear, maybe it was rattling it, smelling where our hands are being or whatever, But never really thought anything else other than that until we heard what, the thing howling down in East Texas. I started thinking about things that might have happened and different noises might have heard that really didn't think nothing about. Way back then, you never heard anything about any of this other. But there was always either something happened or something went wrong. It was a bear, that was it. There wasn't nothing else. So there wasn't no talk about anything else. And you talking about it. You asked me a while ago if I, experienced anything around here at the house. And I got trail cameras out. I got a couple that sends me pictures, and I'm always checking them and seeing what's running around out here. And I've been trying to get deer to come up here forever out of feeder, but the camera took a picture the other day that I had one out there. I finally got some chickens and chicken coop out here, and I had one of those 5-point cameras there that sends you pictures whenever something triggers it. And about 30, I guess it was dark enough where the sun was down. It was dark enough where the infrared to show up, but it looked from looking at it, whatever this was, it was something by the carport, by the back door, on all fours, and from the back, it looked like from the back, it looks bear-like, and we ain't got no bears here, never heard any bear sightings or never seen any bear sightings here, in Hill County. And all that's supposed to be out east, but in the picture it looks just something big, furry on the ground. It stands pretty tall, but it looks like it's got its head down. It looks like from the back, and you can make it out, but you go to zoom in on it or whatever, it blurs out. It don't really, you don't get great detail of it. And I went out there, looking around, looking where, the picture and everything. I was just trying to, I was trying to see if there's anything out there in the yard that would, if the camera might have took a picture, like a mouse or an owl or something flew by the camera or something. If it just happened to take a picture and you didn't catch it or whatever, it shows the yard in that area. But this time there was something there, and I went out there looking. There was nothing laying in the yard or next to the carport or anything that would give any impression, like you trick the eye, like an animal being there. But I don't know. I could be looking in that picture, looking at the rear end of something, maybe I might have heard howling one night. I don't know.
That is very interesting. Is that a photo you would mind sharing at all, or is it?
Yeah, I'd share the photo. See, I got uh, before that one was taken, I was, I kind of got a before and after like perception of see, it was around 3:30. I was out there by the chicken pen. I went out there, check on them, make sure they still had plenty of food and water. And so we took a picture, well, basically of my legs. You see the carport in the distance, and you see the car, the lawnmower, little barbecue grills, if you zoom in. And it was exactly, that was at 3 o'clock. And another picture, this other picture went off that I had to sit there and think about it. I don't know if it was around 10:15. It's in military time. I had to think about that a minute. Or no, 8:15, right before it was getting dark. And didn't see, I was like looking around, didn't see anything. I was like, well, what's there? And I'm looking in the background at the carport, and there it is, something on all fours standing there. If you want me to send them pictures to you now, I can.
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting to take a look at later for sure. Were you able to see any tracks out where it was?
See, that night it rained. Well, when this picture come in, it didn't come in. If it did, I wasn't paying attention. The electricity been off that day, and me and the wife, of course, my fiance at the time, I call her my wife, but we was in the house at that time. It started cooling off. We'd been outside most all day, and the storms knocked out electricity here. And when it started kind of cooling off, we went back inside, and it, doors and windows open, and we just tumbling up. Well, she works nights, and so she was taking a little nap anyway, and I dozed off. And later, I guess I didn't hear it come in on my phone, but around uh, 11 o'clock at night, I noticed I had a picture on my phone. I hadn't seen, open it up and look at it. And I guess at the time we supposed to be taking a nap, I dozed off. Well, it came right up to pretty much the back door there where we had been sitting most of the day, kind of under that carport and shaded area, because it was pretty warm that day. And by the time it did that, well, anyway, by the time I got the pictures, it had already been raining for probably about 30 or 40 minutes, and pretty heavy again. And so that's when I went out there looking at everything. I looked for tracks there, looked for tracks, on the wet ground under the carport where the rain been blowing, but just too hard to ground, too much gravel, and I didn't see no tracks whatsoever. The next day, even, I went back out there looking around, hoping maybe, see some tracks at the edge of the field. Right now, there's corn planted all around us. And my little area here is about 2 acres that's mine. And there's corn planted all around us. And so you really can't see nothing right now, but I walked around the edges of the field and everything, looking around the edge of the corn to see if any tracks or anything like that could be seen in the mud there. And I didn't see nothing, but maybe a cow track or two. Every now and then we get cows run through here, and they keep on going. Yeah, that's the strangest photo. Would you let me see your email or
Yeah, you can send it to my email, just at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Wouldn't you know it,
okay.
our internet is down right now, so I'm going to have to look at it at a later time. We're having some weird weather affecting stuff right now. But
I understand that. We're supposed to storm again. It's been
wild.
nothing but raining here.
Darren, it's been a pleasure chatting with you about the things you've experienced. You've really have experienced some interesting things. I'd be interested to see the photo when you're able to send it over, and if you do ever experience anything else weird, please feel free to reach out about that as well.
All right, I sure will. And I kind of try to reach out, some other people, and it's like, I don't know. I've been listening to your show for a while, and it's, some of these other ones that wanted to talk to me or something. I just don't. They seem like they stress too much in the beginning how much they depend on everybody's money to be sent in or they make it.
Yeah, it's not about that. Yeah.
That's always the first thing said, and I had stressed, and I'm like, well, I'm not getting back with you.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I do it is that, like, a lot of people I talk to, they just don't have anyone where they can just share what they experienced and not have to worry about being laughed at or anything. So that's what I tried to help with people that I get connected to. And I mean, I've experienced like a kind of traumatic situation myself, and now I really get how important that is for people to be able to talk to someone and not, just to unload. So I totally get it.
And a lot of, I got friends that laughed at me, it's like, what was you doing? What was you smoking? Were you drinking? What was this?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's not, I like setting up, having a good time, but when I'm serious about telling something, I'm like, it just makes me mad. Like, damn it, you ain't listening to me.
Yeah, it's
something.
Yeah. If a person wants you to listen and be serious, you need to do that. I totally get it. But
Yeah.
Darren, thank you so much for chatting tonight. I appreciate you taking your time and being willing to share, and hopefully people listen to this and maybe they've heard of stuff in the same area they can share, and maybe they've been holding off on sharing something that happened to them, and this will give them the courage to share what they experienced. So
Yeah, because I mean, I was one of them that never, was always kind of skeptical of stuff, but there's something out there, and people need to know there's something out there, and just not take a lot of things for granted. A lot of things might not be as it seems, and always keep your eye open, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be prepared for sure. It sounds like you're definitely doing that, but pleasure talking to you tonight, Darren.
It was great talking to you.
Please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed, share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's the list. All right, I'm going to use this space this week to announce that I'll be at the Sasquatch Summerfest in Oak Ridge, Oregon as an attender. I won't be presenting or anything, but I'll be hanging out, trying to interview people that have had Bigfoot encounters. If you're from the Oak Ridge, Oregon area or surrounding and you've had a Bigfoot experience, please contact me directly, bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Also, Priscilla was nice enough that if you get your tickets through SasquatchSummerfest.com and use code BigfootSociety, you can get 50% off the cost of your tickets, which is a big amount. So code Bigfoot Society to get 50% off your tickets, SasquatchSummerfest.com, and helps out the podcast as well. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. Here at Bigfoot Society, we're headed to the moon, and here's a current update about going full-time. So here we go. As of 5/22, we are now at 202 patrons out of 824 needed. That's 24.51%, almost a quarter of the way there, guys. Brings us down to 622 left to join the Patreon. So a huge thank you to Barbara, Gregory, Dana, Craig, Jeff, Steve, Ricky D, Norm, Megan, Dan, Daddy Chatty, Joe, Eber, Ike, Jules, Josh, Ryan, Todd, Nathan, Gabe, Bill, Lucky, Megan, William, Bobby Joe, and Inger for joining recently. If you want to join in the fun, you can join over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I'll see you there. And again, thanks for listening.
Her and I can get on here and we can tell our stories. Maybe there's somebody else out there listening that's too afraid to tell their story. Maybe this will give them the courage to come out and not feel so bad about it. Who cares what anybody thinks? I know what I saw. I know what's out there. That's all I care about.
Please let people know. Please let them know. If you ever see one of these things, you need to tell. Because if you don't, then shame on you. You know? Shame on you.
Wait, there's more. Monster Fest 2 is coming up soon in beautiful Canton, Ohio, and I will be there doing a live podcast. If you've ever wanted to meet Bigfoot Society in person, this is the year to do it. My special guest in the live podcast episode will be Justin from Cryptids of the Corn. You will not want to miss this live episode. And then you can hang out with me at Monster Fest. You can go to smalltownmonsters.com to get your tickets. Pre-sale tickets are $20.50, and tickets at the door will be $25. But kids 12 and under are free. How many places can you go to where kids 12 and under are free? Not many. New this year are the live workshops. I'm excited about this. Extremely excited. How to cast a footprint. How to collect DNA in the woods. Ghost hunting tools 101. How to do research. Also, there's going to be food trucks outside this year, and new guests, new speakers, people you won't. I mean, the coolest thing about last year is that I got to meet people I was not expecting to be there. People like Les Odell, John Hickenbottom, really cool Bigfoot people that I never would have thought that I would have met before. And Seth Breedlove made it happen by making this incredible place for the community to get together. Monster Fest in Canton, Ohio, June 28th through 29th. Guys, do not miss this year. If you missed last year, don't miss this year. Head on over right now to smalltownmonsters.com. I hope to see you there.